Most men go through life believing women only pay attention to what is obvious, your words, your actions, your habits. But the truth is far more subtle, far more human, and far more psychological. There are certain things women quietly appreciate in a man, not because they're romantic, not because they're physical, but because these traits reveal character, strength, and emotional maturity. Here's the twist. Women rarely talk about these things. They won't confess them to their friends. They won't bring them up directly, and they definitely won't ask a man to do them. Not because they're secrets, but because they are instinctive reactions, things they feel rather than analyze. These aren't dirty in the usual sense. They are dirty because they're bold, unfiltered, and sometimes uncomfortable. The kind of qualities that separate a man who is liked from a man who is quietly respected. Most men overlook these traits. Most men play it safe. Most men try too hard to stay polite, agreeable, or predictable. But the men who stand out, the men women notice without meaning to, are the ones who carry a different kind of strength. A firmness without aggression, a confidence without arrogance, a calm presence that doesn't need attention, and boundaries that make everyone around them feel more grounded. These are the things women secretly want you to do, even if they'll never say them out loud. And once you understand them, something shifts. You stop chasing validation, you stop doubting yourself, and you begin moving through life with quiet authority. Let's break down the 10 dirty, unspoken things women truly appreciate and what they reveal about you as a man. Number 1. Taking initiative without waiting for permission. Many people hesitate in life, not because they are incapable, but because they are waiting for the right moment, the right sign, or someone else's approval. But there's a rare type of person who doesn't wait. He moves with purpose, with clarity, and with a sense of responsibility that doesn't depend on external validation. This quality, taking initiative without waiting for permission, is something women quietly admire, people deeply respect, and life consistently rewards. And it has nothing to do with dominance or control. It has everything to do with personal leadership. Below is a detailed, psychology-backed explanation of why this trait matters and what it says about you as a man. Number 1. Initiative shows you're not driven by fear. When you step forward without waiting to be pushed, you send a powerful message. I trust myself. Most people wait because they're afraid. Afraid to make the wrong choice. Afraid to be judged. Afraid to take responsibility. Afraid to disappoint someone. But when you take initiative, you demonstrate that you're not controlled by hesitation. You move because you believe in your judgment. This kind of inner confidence is rare, and people instinctively respond to it. It creates a sense of stability that others feel safe around. Number 2, it communicates emotional maturity. Initiative isn't about being impulsive or reckless. It's about knowing when to act and act before things fall apart or become more complicated. When you take initiative, you prevent misunderstandings, you handle responsibilities early, you address problems before they grow, you reduce stress for everyone involved. Women, especially mature women, quietly appreciate this kind of emotional maturity. It signals that you understand the weight of a situation and handle it with a steady mindset. Number 3, it shows you don't need to be told what is obvious. Life constantly presents opportunities to step up, small and big. organizing something instead of waiting to be asked, clarifying a plan when others are unsure, taking action when someone is overwhelmed, handling what needs to be handled instead of ignoring it. When you act on what you see, without waiting for direction, people notice. It shows awareness, responsibility, and attentiveness. This makes others trust you more deeply because it demonstrates, I can rely on this person. Number 4. Initiative removes pressure from others. Many women appreciate this silently. When a man takes initiative, she doesn't feel like she has to manage everything. She doesn't feel the pressure of making every decision. She feels supported without being controlled. She feels partnered with, not placed in charge. Women often carry emotional and mental load, thinking about details, planning, organizing. A man with initiative naturally balances that load without being asked. This kind of presence brings peace, not pressure. Number 5. It demonstrates leadership rooted in kindness. Leadership isn't about being the loudest or most forceful person in the room. Real leadership is quiet, thoughtful, and grounded. When you take initiative without waiting, you set direction. You provide clarity. You bring calm to uncertainty. You take responsibility for outcomes. People follow leaders not because they demand it, but because they create movement. Initiative is a sign that you don't avoid responsibility, you embrace it. Number 6. It shows you understand timing and momentum. Many situations don't need someone perfect, they need someone willing. The right action taken at the right time can prevent conflict, strengthen a connection, build trust, create opportunities. Women appreciate men who recognize moments rather than letting everything drift or stall. A man who acts at the right time sends a message that he's present, not passive.
Number 2. Calling out inconsistency calmly, not aggressively. There comes a moment in every relationship, whether friendship, family, or early connection, when someone's words don't match their actions. Maybe they say one thing, do another, make promises they don't keep, or shift their behavior when it suits them. And while most people react with frustration, anger, or emotional intensity, truly grounded individuals handle it differently. They call it out, but they do it calmly, not aggressively. This ability is rare. Most people avoid discomfort or rush into conflict. Very few manage to stay steady, composed, and clear while addressing something that matters. Yet this skill can change the way people treat you. It sets a tone, it creates respect, and it communicates something powerful. I'm not here to fight you, but I'm also not here to pretend everything is fine. Below are the deeper reasons why calmly calling out inconsistency matters and what it silently shows about you. 1. It shows you're emotionally grounded. A person who reacts aggressively usually reveals inner instability. A person who reacts silently reveals fear or avoidance. But a person who speaks up calmly shows emotional maturity. When you address inconsistency without raising your voice, blaming, or accusing, you show that your emotions don't control you. You communicate with clarity and balance. This makes others take your words seriously because you speak from logic, not impulse. Calm truth has more weight than loud frustration. 2. You demonstrate that your standards are non-negotiable. Inconsistency is a test. Most people let it slide because they fear conflict or rejection. When you calmly point it out, you silently show you recognize what's happening, you're not bothered, but you won't ignore it. Your boundaries exist for a reason. People quickly understand that you are not someone who accepts mixed signals, vague behavior, or unreliable communication. Your composure sends the message clearly without you ever raising your voice. 3. You avoid escalation while still addressing the issue. Aggression triggers defensiveness. Silence breeds resentment. Calmness does neither. When you speak without heat, you make it easier for the other person to reflect instead of react. You invite honesty instead of resistance. You create a space where both people can think instead of fight. This doesn't guarantee they'll change, but it increases the chance that they will actually listen. 4. You show respect without sacrificing self-respect. Calling someone out doesn't have to mean attacking them. You can be respectful while still being clear. Calmly addressing inconsistency shows that you care enough to communicate, you value clarity, you won't lower yourself to hostility, you won't allow your needs or boundaries to be dismissed. This balance, holding firm while staying kind, is something most people never master. 5. You send a message that you're paying attention. Some people rely on the belief that you won't notice the small discrepancies. I'll say this now and hope they forget later. Or, I'll act differently today, maybe they won't address it. Or, I'll shift my behavior, they won't call me out. But when you calmly highlight the inconsistency, you show that you do notice. Not in a paranoid or suspicious way, but in a thoughtful, observant way. It communicates that you value honesty and alignment between words and actions. 6. Your composure makes the other person reflect. When someone is confronted angrily, they defend themselves. When someone is confronted calmly, they examine themselves. Your calm tone becomes a mirror. Instead of feeling attacked, they feel accountable. Instead of reacting emotionally, they feel the weight of the truth. This is why calm confrontation is more effective, because it makes the other person reflect on their own actions, not on your delivery. 7. It protects your peace, not your ego. Aggressive confrontation comes from ego. Avoidance comes from fear. Calm truth comes from peace. Calling out inconsistency in a grounded way keeps your inner world steady. You're not trying to win a battle or prove a point. You're simply maintaining clarity and respect around you. Your peace stays intact because you didn't let someone's behavior pull you out of character.
Number 3. Saying no without apology. Most men grow up believing that saying no makes them difficult, unkind, or uncooperative. They think being agreeable means being a good person. They fear disappointing others, and in the process, they lose the most important thing a person can ever protect: self-respect. But here's the truth few men realize early in life. Saying no is not rejection. It is self-clarity. It is emotional maturity. It is a form of quiet leadership. And interestingly, many women deeply respect a man who can say no with calm confidence, not rudely, not aggressively, but with a solid sense of self. This article breaks down why it matters, why it's so difficult, and how saying no without apology changes the entire way you move through life and relationships. 1. Saying no shows that you have a strong personal identity. A man who cannot say no is a man who relies on approval. A man who can say no is a man who knows what he values, respects his own time, understands his priorities, doesn't sacrifice himself to avoid discomfort. Women and people in general notice this. It sends the message, I am not shaped by pressure. I am shaped by principles. That alone builds quiet respect. 2. It communicates stability and confidence. When someone says no confidently, without guilt, without over-explaining, they show something rare: inner stability. Most people crumble under social discomfort. They soften their boundaries to avoid disappointing someone. But when you calmly stand your ground, it communicates you aren't afraid of conflict. You aren't controlled by other people's reactions. You trust your own judgment. You can navigate discomfort with maturity. This steadiness feels safe, reliable, and grounded. 3. It prevents resentment and emotional exhaustion. Agreeing to everything creates silent resentment. You stretch yourself thin. You overcommit. You feel drained. You begin to feel invisible. You start thinking no one appreciates you. But here's the truth. People don't appreciate what you resentfully give. They appreciate what you freely offer. Saying no protects your energy, so when you say yes, it actually has meaning. 4. Women respect men who don't seek validation. Women notice when a man says yes to avoid being disliked, apologizes for having needs, tries too hard to please, avoids boundaries because he fears upsetting people. This kind of behavior may appear kind, but it communicates insecurity. On the other hand, a man who simply says, "No, that doesn't work for me," or "I won't be able to do that today," without guilt, without a speech, without desperate justification, signals maturity. It shows self-trust, a rare quality that naturally earns respect. 5. It shows that you value your time and priorities. Time is your most valuable resource. When you say no with clarity, you make a statement. My time matters, my energy matters, my goals matter. This doesn't make you harsh, it makes you disciplined. People trust a man who respects his own schedule because it shows he lives intentionally, not reactively. Women especially appreciate men who don't overextend themselves, aren't controlled by pressure, choose commitments wisely, protect their long-term stability. A man who respects his time automatically respects the relationship. 6. A clear no brings more peace than a confused yes. Many people say yes out of fear, but carry tension afterward. A clean, respectful no creates less confusion, less mixed signaling, less hidden frustration, more transparency. It's simpler, it's healthier, it's honest. A person who communicates clearly, even when the answer isn't what others want to hear, creates trust over time. 7. Saying no keeps you emotionally independent. Someone who cannot say no is easily influenced. Someone who can say no is emotionally independent. He chooses based on values, not pressure. He doesn't try to be everything to everyone. He doesn't fear temporary discomfort. This is not about rebellion, it's about balance. Women trust a man who is emotionally independent because he doesn't lose himself in others. He stands beside them, not underneath them.
Number 4. Being comfortable in silence. In a world full of noise, constant notifications, and endless conversations, silence has become almost unfamiliar. Most people grow uneasy the moment things quiet down. They feel pressured to fill the space, say something meaningful, or keep the moment alive with chatter. But when someone is truly comfortable around you, silence doesn't feel like a threat. It doesn't feel awkward. It doesn't feel like a gap that must be fixed. Instead, it becomes a shared understanding, a peaceful moment, a quiet bond that doesn't need decoration. Being comfortable in silence is one of the strongest, most genuine signs of ease, trust, and emotional alignment between two people. And it reveals far more than spoken words ever could. Below are the detailed reasons why this matters so deeply, and why silence, when comfortable, is a sign of something real. Number 1.
Silence shows emotional ease. When someone is relaxed around you, they don't feel the urge to perform or pretend. Silence becomes natural, not stressful. They aren't worried about impressing you. They aren't anxious about how they're being perceived. They don't feel the need to constantly entertain. In silence, people's true personalities surface. You see authenticity, not effort. Being at ease in silence shows that both individuals feel safe being exactly who they are, without needing to constantly speak to validate the connection. Number 2, it means there is no pressure to prove anything. Uncomfortable silence usually comes from insecurity. Do they think I'm boring? Should I say something? Is this moment awkward? But when silence feels comfortable, it means neither person feels the need to fill the space. Why? Because there's no pressure to impress, no fear of judgment, no mental checklist of things to say. The moment stands on its own. Nothing is required. That's emotional security. Number 3, it reflects genuine presence. When silence is comfortable, both people are present, not distracted. They're not rushing mentally, not planning what to say next, not trying to escape the moment. Instead, they simply exist together. This presence can look like sitting quietly during a walk, sharing a peaceful moment while having tea, watching the environment around you, letting thoughts settle without forcing conversation. This type of silence is grounding. It reassures both people that the bond doesn't depend on constant noise. It stands on presence. Number 4, silence lets you understand each other better. Words communicate information. Silence communicates understanding. In quiet moments, you begin to notice a person's natural calm, their breathing and pace, their emotional state, their openness, their comfort level. Silence reveals subtleties that words often hide. When someone feels comfortable in silence with you, it means they don't fear being observed or understood. They trust that quiet doesn't lead to judgment. Number 5, it builds a stronger connection, not a weaker one. Many people mistakenly think silence means something is wrong. But in strong relationships, whether friendships, family bonds, or deeper connections, comfortable silence is a sign of strength. Why? Because the relationship doesn't rely on constant stimulation. The connection exists even when nothing is being said. That's rare, and it's powerful. Number 6, silence gives space for reflection. Quiet moments allow thoughts to settle. They give both people room to breathe mentally. Being comfortable in silence shows maturity, emotional intelligence, the ability to pause, the capacity to reflect rather than react, patience. When someone can reflect in your presence without feeling pressured, it means they trust that quiet doesn't lead to judgment. It's a sign of mutual respect.
Number 5, walking away from disrespect immediately. There is a moment in every man's life when he realizes something important. You teach people how to treat you by what you tolerate. And nothing defines your standards more clearly than how you respond to disrespect. Many believe walking away is a sign of weakness, but in reality, it is one of the strongest, calmest, most mature actions a person can take. It's not dramatic, not emotional, not reactive. It's simply a statement. I value myself enough not to stand here. This article breaks down why walking away from disrespect, not after it piles up, not after excuses, not after arguments,
but immediately is one of the most powerful choices you can ever make. 1. It shows you understand your own worth. People with solid self-respect have one thing in common. They don't stay where they are not valued. Walking away instantly shows you know what you deserve. You don't need validation. You don't accept mistreatment. You're not tied to anyone's approval. You don't raise your voice. You don't explain yourself endlessly. You don't beg for basic courtesy. You simply act because you already know your worth. 2. Disrespect isn't an accident. It's information. Many people excuse disrespect. Maybe they didn't mean it. Maybe I'm being too sensitive. Maybe it was a mistake. But here's the truth. Disrespect is a message. It reveals how someone sees you, what they believe they can get away with, what they truly value or don't value, how they treat people when their guard is down. A single moment can tell you more about a person than months of polite interactions. When someone disrespects you, you're being shown something real. Walking away isn't punishment, it's protection. 3. You preserve your emotional energy. Standing in disrespect drains you. You start questioning yourself. You overthink their words. You replay moments trying to make sense of them. You carry emotional tension you never asked for. Walking away frees you from internal conflict, emotional noise, the need to defend yourself, invisible stress that piles up quietly. Your peace is priceless, and the moment you feel it slip, you have every right to step away. 4. You avoid arguments that go nowhere. Disrespect rarely comes from a calm or mature space. Trying to reason with someone in that state is like trying to light a candle in a storm. You only get more chaos. Instead of explaining yourself repeatedly, justifying simple boundaries, engaging in circular conversations, walking away says, this conversation can continue when it's respectful. It sets a boundary without confrontation, and it keeps you centered. 5. You stop the pattern before it begins. Disrespect grows in stages. A small comment, a dismissive tone, a passive-aggressive remark, a direct challenge, a repeated cycle. Each time you allow it, the pattern deepens. Walking away the moment it starts communicates, this behavior has no place here. I won't participate in unhealthy dynamics. Respect is the minimum, not a privilege. And once someone sees you enforce your boundaries, they think twice before crossing them again. 6. You become someone who can't be manipulated. People who rely on manipulation don't want you to walk away. They want reaction, explanation, justification, emotional engagement. Walking away denies all of that. It shows you cannot be baited, you cannot be controlled, you cannot be emotionally pulled into chaos, you cannot be pushed beyond your limits. You stay grounded, you stay calm, you stay in control of yourself. This is true strength. 7. You attract people who treat you with respect. Disrespect drives you away from the wrong people and clears space for the right ones. When you enforce healthy boundaries, those who value you stay. Those who don't fall away naturally. You create a healthier environment. You build relationships rooted in mutual respect. Walking away filters your life better than any long conversation ever could.
Number 6. Being honest even when it's uncomfortable. Honesty is easy when everything is simple, pleasant, and convenient. But the real test of character shows up in the moments when honesty feels heavy, awkward, or uncomfortable. These are the moments most people avoid, soften, or dance around. Yet these moments are where trust is built, respect is earned, and inner strength is proven. Being honest when it's uncomfortable isn't just about telling the truth. It's about choosing integrity over ease, clarity over confusion, and courage over fear.
Below are the detailed reasons why this level of honesty matters so deeply, and why it sets you apart in a world that often prefers comfort over truth. 1. It shows you respect yourself enough to speak clearly. When you speak honestly, even if your voice feels unsure, you send a message to yourself. My truth matters. You are not bending, hiding, or shrinking just to avoid friction. You are showing that your thoughts, boundaries, and feelings deserve space in the conversation. This kind of honesty builds internal confidence, not the loud kind, the quiet, grounded kind that comes from knowing you don't betray yourself to keep the peace. 2. It builds real trust, not surface-level agreement. Most people would rather hear a difficult truth than discover they've been misled. Uncomfortable honesty shows others that you won't play games, leave them guessing, or pretend everything is fine when it isn't. When someone sees that you can deliver truth respectfully, even when it's tough, they learn they can rely on you. You won't disappear when things get complicated. You value the relationship enough to keep it real. This kind of trust lasts longer than any polite silence. 3. It prevents misunderstandings that could grow into problems. Avoiding the truth doesn't erase a problem, it delays it until it becomes bigger, heavier, and harder to handle. Uncomfortable honesty keeps situations from spiraling because you address things when they're small, when they're manageable, when clarity can still fix things. By speaking early, you protect both yourself and the other person from unnecessary frustration in the future. 4. It sets healthy boundaries without drama. Being honest isn't about confrontation. It's about clarity. You're not trying to win an argument. You're not trying to make someone wrong. You're simply stating where you stand and what you need to feel balanced. Healthy boundaries remove confusion. They eliminate guessing. They help people understand how to treat you without hostility, tension, or resentment. Honesty is quiet strength. It doesn't shout, it simply stands firm. 5. It helps you stay consistent with who you say you are. Anyone can talk about values like integrity, transparency, or respect, but the people who actually live those values stand out. When your words match your actions, even when the truth feels inconvenient, you become the kind of person others describe with phrases like, "He means what he says." "You can trust him." "He's steady." Consistency is rare, and honesty keeps you aligned with it. 6. It reduces internal stress and emotional pressure. Keeping things inside is exhausting. Avoiding hard truths drain your energy. Overthinking what you didn't say creates more tension than saying it would have. Uncomfortable honesty removes the weight. It clears your mind. It frees your attention. It lets you breathe without replaying conversations in your head or worrying about what you didn't express. Peace isn't just the absence of conflict. Sometimes it's the result of choosing truth over fear. 7. It encourages others to be honest with you. Honesty creates honesty. When you speak openly and directly, you set the tone for communication. You make others feel safe to express themselves without worrying about judgment or backlash. You're showing, "I can handle truth. I don't need sugarcoating." This invites deeper conversations, healthier connections, and relationships built on mutual respect, not performance.
Number 7. Staying unshaken when she tests you emotionally. Most men misunderstand emotional tests. They take them personally, get upset, or feel like they're being challenged. But in reality, these moments are less about conflict and more about instinct, trust, and emotional stability. Women don't test to manipulate. They test to understand what kind of man they're dealing with. Are you steady, or do you crumble? Do you respond with clarity, or do you react impulsively? Do you stay grounded, or do you get thrown off balance? A woman notices far more than she addresses. Your tone, your patience, your consistency, your self-control. These are signals that speak louder than any words. When you stay unshaken, calm, and consistent, you communicate something powerful. I am emotionally stable enough to handle discomfort, tension, and uncertainty without losing myself. Below are the reasons this matters and how it transforms the way she sees you. 1. Emotional tests reveal your stability. When a woman pushes your emotional buttons, intentionally or unintentionally, she's often checking one thing. Can you handle pressure without breaking? Life brings conflict, confusion, and stress. If she senses that you can't maintain control in small moments, raised voice, frustration, miscommunication, emotional tension, she questions whether you can handle bigger challenges. But when you stay calm, breathe, and respond with clarity, it signals maturity, emotional regulation, reliability, and inner strength. You become someone she can trust during difficult moments. 2. Your reaction shows whether you're led by emotion or by principle. Emotional tests often reveal whether a man acts out of impulse or out of intention. Most men react emotionally. Few pause, observe, and choose their response. When you remain unshaken, you show that you think before you act. You communicate that emotions don't control you. You demonstrate that you choose principle over reaction. A man who cannot regulate his emotions becomes unpredictable. A man who can becomes dependable. Women respect the second man deeply, even if they never say it. 3. Calmness creates safety, not dominance. Calmness doesn't silence her emotions, it anchors them. When you stay grounded when she is overwhelmed or uncertain, your calmness tells her, I'm here. You can express yourself. I won't escalate things. We will get through this moment sensibly. Your calmness becomes the emotional equivalent of a steady hand. It doesn't control her, it reassures her. This quiet safety is something women rarely describe but often feel. 4. Emotional tests expose inconsistency versus integrity. Women naturally observe patterns. If you're calm one day and defensive the next, gentle one week and unpredictable the next, she senses instability. Tests reveal whether your behavior is a temporary performance or your real character. When you stay steady, even when you're tired or stressed, you demonstrate integrity. It shows that your calmness isn't an act, it's who you are. 5. Your unshaken presence sets the tone. Whether you realize it or not, your emotional state often becomes the emotional state of the moment. If you react harshly, everything escalates. If you collapse, everything becomes unstable. If you stay grounded, everything slowly returns to stability. Your presence sets the tone. A steady man doesn't have to raise his voice. He doesn't have to argue. He doesn't have to prove a point. His calmness speaks for him. 6. Remaining calm prevents misunderstandings from turning into conflicts. Emotional tests often arise from confusion, stress, insecurity, exhaustion, miscommunication. Most conflicts are not intentional, they're reactions to internal pressure. When you stay unshaken, you create space for clarity. You listen instead of react. You ask instead of assume. You respond instead of retaliate. Calmness de-escalates tension before it becomes damage. It turns conflict into conversation. 7. Emotional tests help her see if you can handle vulnerability. A woman needs emotional space to express fear, worry, doubt, frustration, uncertainty. If she feels you collapse or explode every time she brings emotion into the room, she stops opening up altogether. Staying calm doesn't mean ignoring her feelings. It means being capable of holding both your emotions and hers without breaking. This builds a deep sense of trust, the quiet kind that forms the strongest emotional bonds.
Number 8. Making firm decisions when she's indecisive. There will be moments when a woman you care about becomes unsure, hesitant, or caught between options. She may pause, change her mind, or send mixed signals, not out of manipulation, but out of her own internal uncertainty. Many men freeze in these moments. They wait. They overthink. They second-guess. And without realizing it, they create more confusion instead of offering direction. But when you know how to make firm, grounded decisions during her moments of indecision, something powerful happens. You become the steady center she can rely on. This is not about controlling her. This is not about dominating. It is about providing clarity in moments where hesitation fills the space. Below are the deeper reasons behind why firm decision-making matters and how to do it with maturity, calmness, and respect. 1. Indecision is usually a sign of emotional overload. When she becomes indecisive, it often means her mind is full. Thoughts, obligations, expectations, pressures, everything stacks up. She may genuinely not know what she wants in that moment. Your job is not to fix her feelings. Your job is not to pressure her to choose. Your job is to offer a clear path forward. A simple, firm decision helps lift the mental weight she's carrying. It frees her from needing to overthink. 2. Your calm confidence helps break the mental fog. Indecisiveness thrives on uncertainty. When you stay calm and clear, not irritated, not impatient, not defensive, you help steady the entire situation. Women notice a man's tone. They notice whether your voice carries confidence or frustration. A calm, grounded decision tells her, "I've got this. You don't have to worry right now." That alone can dissolve a lot of hesitation. 3. Firm decisions show that you trust yourself. When she is unsure, and you also become unsure, both of you get stuck. But when she hesitates, and you step in with clarity, it signals something important. Self-trust. You're not afraid to choose. You're not afraid to take responsibility for the moment. You're not afraid to lead when needed. And people naturally feel safer around someone who trusts themselves. 4. It reduces stress rather than adding pressure. Some men think making decisions comes off as controlling, but the opposite is true when done respectfully. A gentle, confident decision does not pressure her. It removes pressure. When she doesn't have to figure everything out alone, it allows her to relax. You're not telling her what to do. You're guiding the situation so it doesn't remain stuck. There's a difference. 5. A clear decision shows emotional maturity. Emotionally mature men understand this. When someone is overwhelmed, the last thing they need is more uncertainty. By deciding calmly and respectfully, you demonstrate stability. You show that you can handle uncomfortable moments without pulling away or collapsing into indecision yourself. That maturity earns trust over time. 6. It helps her understand her own feelings better. Sometimes she only figures out what she truly wants after seeing a clear direction. Your decisiveness gives her something to react to, not in a confrontational way, but in a clarifying way. She may say, "Yes, that's actually what I wanted." Or, "No, let's do this instead." Either way, your decision gives her emotional contrast. You created clarity instead of waiting endlessly. Number 9. Protecting your energy instead of chasing. Why it matters and how to do it. In today's fast-paced world, many men are conditioned to chase approval, attention, or validation. We are often told that effort equals value, that if we want respect, we must pursue it relentlessly. But real strength lies in the opposite approach, protecting your energy, prioritizing your well-being, and letting respect come naturally. This isn't about arrogance or detachment, it's about clarity, boundaries, and self-respect, qualities that create authentic presence and attract genuine connection. Here's why protecting your energy is critical, and why chasing rarely works. 1. Chasing leads to exhaustion. When you chase people's approval, attention, or validation, you spend energy outside your control. Constantly seeking acceptance is draining. It creates stress and anxiety. You begin measuring your worth by someone else's reactions. Protecting your energy means choosing where to invest your time and effort. It's about focusing on people, projects, and environments that align with your values, not fleeting approval. This allows you to maintain mental clarity, preserve emotional stability, reduce burnout, and create space for meaningful interactions. When you conserve energy, you move from reaction to intention. You act because it matters, not because you feel obligated. 2. Chasing weakens boundaries. A man who chases often ignores his own limits. He may agree to things he doesn't want to do. He may compromise his priorities. He may tolerate disrespect to keep the peace. Protecting your energy is about setting clear boundaries. It's saying no when necessary, without guilt or defensiveness. Boundaries are not selfish, they are essential. They show that you value yourself and expect others to respect your time and attention. People naturally respond to this clarity with respect and trust. 3. Chasing creates imbalance in relationships. Chasing often makes the relationship dynamic one-sided. You invest more than you receive. You prioritize others' desires over your own needs. You feel responsible for outcomes beyond your control. By protecting your energy, you create balance. You contribute when it feels right. You maintain independence. You avoid codependency or unnecessary stress. This doesn't mean withdrawing completely. It means engaging thoughtfully and intentionally rather than reactively. 4. Chasing reduces self-respect. When a man chases constantly, he may feel compelled to compromise his integrity. Changing who you are to fit expectations. Over-apologizing for natural behavior. Suppressing opinions or preferences. Protecting your energy means honoring your identity, even if it means disappointing others occasionally. It's about valuing yourself first and trusting that the right people will appreciate it. Self-respect naturally attracts respect from others. A man who values himself doesn't need to overexert to gain recognition. It comes as a byproduct of his grounded presence. 5. Protecting energy builds emotional resilience. Chasing often makes your emotional state dependent on external validation. Approval feels temporary. Rejection feels catastrophic. Your mood is tied to others' reactions. When you protect your energy, you develop emotional independence. You maintain equilibrium regardless of outcomes. You strengthen your ability to respond calmly in challenging situations. Resilient men are both steady and attractive, not because of looks or charm, but because their presence is stabilizing. 6. Chasing often backfires. Ironically, constant chasing can push people away. It may signal neediness or insecurity. It may create pressure or tension. It can reduce natural curiosity and respect. By protecting your energy instead,
You allow relationships to develop organically. You create space for mutual effort. You signal confidence and self-worth. People naturally gravitate toward those who don't seek approval constantly. 7. Protecting energy is about prioritization. Not all efforts yield equal returns. Protecting your energy requires evaluating what deserves your attention. Focus on meaningful conversations, projects, and connections. Avoid trivial disputes, distractions, or energy-draining people. Prioritization is a form of self-respect. It communicates, I value my time, my mind, and my presence.
Number 10. Having a life that doesn't revolve around her. One of the most magnetic qualities a person can have is a life that is full, independent, and centered around purpose, not around another person. This doesn't mean you're distant, uncaring, or unwilling to invest in relationships. Rather, it means your happiness, growth, and priorities exist first within yourself, and everything you offer to others comes from that foundation. Here's why having a life that doesn't revolve around her is so important and how it can shape your interactions in a meaningful way. Number 1. You develop a stronger sense of self. When your life isn't centered around someone else, you naturally spend more time discovering who you are, what you value, and what goals matter most to you. This self-awareness creates stability. People are drawn to those who know themselves and can make decisions rooted in clarity, not in the desire to please someone else. By focusing on your interests, career, hobbies, and personal growth, you build confidence that radiates outward. It's not arrogance, it's self-respect. You know your worth and are less likely to lose yourself in someone else's world. Number 2. You build emotional independence. When your life is centered around another person, it can lead to emotional dependency. When your mood and sense of fulfillment are tied entirely to someone else, it can create tension, insecurity, and unnecessary pressure on the relationship. When you maintain your own activities, friendships, and ambitions, you create a natural balance. You can show care, attention, and support without becoming overly reliant on her presence for your emotional well-being. This independence makes you more resilient and easier to be around. Number 3. You become more interesting and engaging. People are drawn to those who have experiences, stories, and passions of their own. When you focus on personal growth and pursue your own path, you naturally gather knowledge, experiences, and perspectives that are enriching in conversation. Having a life that doesn't revolve around her allows you to share your world in a way that's authentic and engaging. You're not just a mirror reflecting her interests. You have a unique, vibrant world to offer, which makes interactions more dynamic and memorable. Number 4. You avoid unnecessary pressure. If your life revolves around her, you may unconsciously create expectations, yours and hers, that can be stressful. You might feel the need to always be available, to constantly entertain, or to adjust your life around her schedule. Maintaining your own priorities removes this pressure. You're able to engage fully when you're together, but without carrying the burden of constantly proving yourself or sacrificing your own plans. This approach fosters a healthier, more relaxed connection. Number 5. You attract respect naturally. When someone sees that you have your own ambitions, commitments, and values, it signals that you respect yourself. And respect is contagious. People tend to respond to those who maintain their own boundaries and independence with admiration. A life that doesn't revolve around her demonstrates strength of character. It shows that you're capable of maintaining focus, responsibility, and integrity, all of which are qualities that inspire trust and genuine respect. Number 6. You have the freedom to grow. Life is a series of opportunities for growth, learning, and exploration. If your focus is entirely on another person, you may miss chances to develop skills, pursue education, or deepen friendships that could be life-changing. By cultivating a life that is independent of her, you retain the freedom to expand yourself, take risks, and explore paths that excite you. Growth becomes a natural part of your life, not something you compromise to fit someone else's expectations. Number 7. You bring more to the relationship. Paradoxically, focusing on your own life doesn't push people away. It enhances the quality of your interactions. When you're grounded in your own world, you bring balance, stability, and a full presence to your connection with her. Rather than depending on her to fill gaps in your life, you arrive as someone complete, capable of sharing value without expectation. This strengthens bonds in a way that is sustainable and meaningful. Number 8. You maintain healthy boundaries. Having a life of your own allows you to set and maintain boundaries without guilt. You can prioritize work, family, hobbies, or self-care, while still being attentive and considerate in your interactions. Healthy boundaries are essential for mutual respect. They prevent resentment, overdependence, and burnout, and they signal to others that you are self-aware and balanced.